So today I want to talk to you guys about how you save money now that you're newly married. It seems like finances are one of the biggest challenges that newlyweds face, especially when it comes to saving money, because when you first get married you want to buy each other gifts and you want to set up your house and you want to go on vacation. And so I want to know, Lexi, let's start with you. How are you guys saving money?
When we first got together, when we first started, out on our financial journey together, we put all of our funds together. And I know that a lot of people recommend having one savings account for both people, and then separate savings account for your own personal finances. So I don't know, if you want to go buy a purse, then you don't have to take that out of the joint account. We didn't have any extra money to be like, yeah, we'll just have this in our separate savings account. So we actually just had to pool all of our finances together just to pay the bills and everything when we were first married. And I guess that was our biggest challenge, is communicating with our finances and saying like, okay, hey, I'm gonna go to Starbucks and purchase a coffee. Is that cool? It felt like I was having to ask permission to my husband to go get a coffee. And that was a source of a lot of our battles and frustrations, until we kind of had to pull back and realize that, I'm not asking you permission if I can go get a coffee. I'm gonna go get a coffee. But we just had to communicate as far as where our finances were going.
For us, we basically have, because we're Muslim, and so the way finances basically work in our religion is that the husband is is expected to be the provider of the family in terms of the money. So whatever money that he brings in belongs to both of us. Whereas the woman, whatever she makes or brings into the marriage is actually her own to do whatever she wants with it.
I like that.
Yeah, it works out pretty well, except for the fact that he still makes more money than I do, so there's not too much that I'm really contributing at the moment, but that kind of works out for us because I feel like I still have a say in how I spend my own money when I have it, but I also know that right now I'm not gonna pull that card. Whatever little money I do make, I understand that this is going into this community pot because we're both building a life right now. There's something that my parents told me before we got married, and in terms of finances, and that was just when you get paid, no matter how little or how much it is, the first 2 checks that you always write are basically to yourself and to charity. And so even if it's $10 that you can put away for yourself and $2 you can give in charity, anything, and that's because that money that you put aside, it's going to add up eventually. It may not add up in 3 months, but at the end of the year you could be wow, I have $1,200 extra bucks, and that's gonna help a lot. And then the other thing was to give in charity, because that's something that my parents always told me, when you don't have a lot but then you give to people who have less, God will bless whatever it is that you do have. Melissa, what about you?
Well, when we got married, up until we had already been living with each other, but we were each responsible for our own bills, and we weren't making very much, but we knew that eventually we wanted to get a house. So I took on the role of doing the finances. Initially, it was having a hard time actually saving, because when you see money in your checking account, you think, oh great, I have money, I can go do, I can buy something extra at the grocery store, I can go out to a movie, we can go to dinner, do extra things. So real quickly I realized that I needed to play a psychological game with our money, and I started taking a good chunk out of my paycheck every pay period, and it would go directly in a savings. So we never saw it in our checking account, we never touched it, it just started slowly accumulating. I mean, I'm getting the same amount of money paid every other week, but to me, seeing less in my checking account, it kind of helps us to budget better.
I think that's so smart, because the thing that we have trouble with in our house is that same thing. You have to, savings account, how do you even get the money to put in the savings account?
Yeah.
That is
direct deposit is your best friend. You don't even touch it. It auto deposits in there, and that's it.
You don't even see it. Because I know that my husband and I are so starved for a date or just some sort of freedom, or just to be able to okay, let's splurge a little bit. Even if that means just hey, let's go out for ice cream after dinner or something like that.
Right.
I know that if we saw that extra $50 a month in our checking account, that we would just be oh, let's go grab some ice cream.
All right, so we want to hear from you guys. Once you got married, how have you been able to save your money? Has it been challenging, or do you guys have a system that's completely in place and it's absolutely foolproof? We want to hear from you.